this is Kate from Generate Magic. So today I'm going to talk about how to transmute regret. And notice that I use the word transmute and not deal with or tolerate, because really we're going for something bigger here. So let's discuss what happens when we experience regret. So what happens is that we conjure up a scene in our minds of something that happened in the past. And then we make judgments like, I shouldn't have done that, or I should have done this instead, which brings up feelings of shame and guilt. And we might even start building a story around it, like, I'm a terrible person, or I always say the wrong thing. Now, I want to share a quote from Jamesallen's The Heavenly Life. He says, have you suffered tragedies? Well, will you cure tragedy by adding anxiety to it? Can you fix a broken vase by crying about it, or restore a lost delight by your grieving? What he's describing here is literally what we refer to as crying over spilled milk. We know logically that dwelling on past mistakes doesn't fix anything, but sometimes that knowledge alone isn't enough to stop us from doing it. And regret is particularly insidious because it's rooted in this idea that we did something that can't be undone, or that something is lost forever. We think that we can't take back our unkind words or regain lost time. But, as Jamesallen goes on to say, there is no evil appearing that won't vanish if you will meet it wisely. The wise soul doesn't grieve over that which has been or will be, but perpetually discovers the divine good and gains wisdom by every occurrence. So this is really a high-level way of looking at regret. It's similar to what Neville Goddard refers to as the pruning shears of revision. Now, a lot of modern teachings present revision as a sort of gimmick, like you're tricking yourself into believing the event never happened. But really what Neville and Jamesallen are referring to is something much bigger. It's finding value in every experience, even our perceived mistakes and failures, and integrating it into that bigger vision of who we are and who we want to be. So to use a movie analogy, you know that I love analogies. Think of yourself as the director of your life's movie. And when you look back at a scene that you're not happy with, there's no need to condemn it. Instead, use it to refine your vision. So for instance, if you said something that you perceive as unloving in that scene, imagine yourself saying what you would have liked to have said, something that's more aligned with your ideal. It's like a director looking at a take they just filmed, considering what worked and what didn't. Like they might give instructions to an actor to say a line in a way that feels more realistic. Or they might tell the crew to adjust the lighting. And so in this way, they are using the pruning shears of revision, keep refining the product, so in this case the film, until it's aligned with their vision, with their ideal, and what they want to put out into the world. And so notice also when a filmmaker is looking at a scene they just filmed and considering how they want to refine it, they're doing so with a level of detachment. And so you want to apply the same level of detachment to those scenes in your head that you're reviewing and refining. And so let's talk about detachment. Detachment is a word that gets thrown around a lot. So I want to emphasize detachment doesn't mean being cold or uncaring. It simply means not identifying with the story. So like if we look at Stanley Kubrick, who was famous for doing hundreds of takes of a single scene, it was clear that Kubrick, he cared very deeply about his movies, but at the same time, he wasn't identifying with them in the same way that we often identify with the scenes that are playing in our heads, what we perceive as our real life movies. Even though truly there really is no distinction between fact and fiction, all of it is just stuff that we're making up as we go along. But that's probably a topic for another video. And the reason that we can reasonably make this conclusion about Kubrick was that if he wasn't detached, he wouldn't have kept doing all those takes. Just like we don't want to keep looking at certain memories because they're too painful or too humiliating. And so he would have done one bad take or what he perceived as a bad take and said, I give up. I guess I'm not cut out to be a director. In the same way, we behave in a way that isn't aligned with our ideal. We don't say, that's it, I give up. I guess I'm doomed to be a terrible person. So instead, we choose again. So I want to bring in a quote, a concept rather from A Course in Miracles. So in A Course in Miracles, a mistake is referred to as missing the mark, which simply means forgetting that you're one with divine perfection. And there's nothing wrong with forgetting, because as soon as you remember again, you realize that nothing was truly lost. It's like when you think you've lost something like your phone or your sunglasses, only to realize you just forgot where you put it. So in the same way, sometimes we forget who we truly are, divine beings having a human experience. But that forgetting is part of why we're here. Without forgetting, we can't have the experience of remembering. So what it really all comes down to is that it's all good and it's all God. And when you find yourself dwelling in regret, try to reframe it as an opportunity for refinement. Ask yourself, can I see love instead of this? And then as the director of your life story, replay the scene as you would have liked it to be, through the lens of love. Remember, as Jamesallen says, all things under their feet as they see, all their mistakes as soon as made, and accept them as lessons of intrinsic value, knowing that there are no mistakes in the divine order. In this way, they rapidly approach the divine perfection. So I want to repeat that last part again, knowing that there are no mistakes in the divine order. So this relates back to the idea of radical acceptance and embracing all your experiences, both the ones that you're proud of and the ones that you're not so proud of. And remembering that they're all part of your life story and they're all helping you discover more about who you are and who you want to be. So as always, I love to hear your thoughts. I always enjoy reading your comments, and they actually help me to gain a deeper level of understanding. Because really, we're all teaching one another. The student and teacher are one. So with that, thank you so much for watching and have a wonderful day.